Have you ever known someone who was brilliant, but couldn't see past their own ego? In this tale from the ancient Jataka collection, Stories of Buddha's Past Lives, we meet a gifted student who lets pride cloud his path to wisdom. But as you'll see, the fall of arrogance is often the first step toward true understanding. Let's begin. Long ago, in the ancient kingdom of Takkasila, a famous teacher named Ayusa lived in the shade of the Bodhi trees. He was not just a master of scriptures and logic, but of life itself. Students came from far lands to learn under his guidance, and among them was a bright young boy named Viro. Viro was intelligent, far ahead of his peers. By the age of 16, he had mastered grammar, debate, philosophy, and even the subtle codes of royal diplomacy. But with each praise and award, a seed of pride took root in his heart. One day, Viro often whispered to himself, "I will outshine even Master Ayusa." The teacher, wise and calm, saw the boy's talent and also the storm brewing behind his eyes. He chose to guide with silence, letting time and karma become the real teacher. One morning, the king of Takkasila summoned Ayusa to the court. "A neighboring kingdom challenges our wisdom in a grand debate," the king said. "Send your brightest. Let them see Takkasila's light." Before Ayusa could speak, Viro stepped forward. "I will go, my lord," he said. "No one is more ready than I." The court applauded. The king smiled, and Master Ayusa simply nodded. "Then go," Ayusa said. "But remember, knowledge without humility is like a sword without a sheath, dangerous to all, especially the one who carries it." Viro did not listen. His heart raced not with duty, but with dreams of fame. As he set out toward the rival court, dressed in silks and riding a royal chariot, he imagined his victory carved in stone, his name sung in streets. But destiny had different plans. Viro arrived at the rival kingdom with the pride of 10 men and the patience of none. The great hall of debate was vast, its walls etched with the victories of generations. Scholars, monks, and ministers from across the land filled the chamber, their eyes fixed on the young prodigy from Takkasila. His opponent was not what he expected. It was not a fierce scholar or gray-bearded monk. It was a calm, soft-spoken woman named Revati. She was unknown in Takkasila, but respected in her homeland for her clarity of thought and depth of compassion. Viro smirked when he saw her. This will be over quickly, he thought. The debate began. They were given questions on justice, virtue, and truth. Viro answered swiftly, quoting scripture after scripture, flooding the hall with memorized knowledge. He dazzled with words but lacked the stillness of understanding. Revati, on the other hand, spoke simply but with profound insight, drawing wisdom not just from books, but from life. When asked, "What is the root of wisdom?" Viro thundered, "Knowledge accumulated over lifetimes." Revati quietly replied, "The willingness to listen." When asked, "Who is the greatest teacher?" Viro declared, "One who commands fear and earns praise." Revati bowed her head and said, "One who lives in silence and inspires change." The audience began to lean toward her. Murmurs grew. Viro's tone sharpened, his arguments grew aggressive. He interrupted. He mocked. He lost control. At last, the chief judge rose. "The debate is over," he said. And while both scholars showed brilliance, Only one showed wisdom. He turned to Revati. You have reminded us that humility is the soul of knowledge. You are the victor. Viro stood frozen, humiliated. His hands trembled. The crown of pride he had worn shattered quietly on the floor of his ego. As he left the hall, heads turned away. No applause, no songs, just silence, and the heavy steps of a boy who had glimpsed his own shadow. The journey back to Takkasila was longer than Viro remembered. Not because the road had changed, but because he was no longer the boy who had walked it days before. When he reached the monastery, he found Master Ayusa in the garden, tending a small sapling. Viro fell to his knees. Master, he said, his voice low, I was defeated. Not by logic, but by humility. I knew the words, but not their meaning. I went to seek honor, and found only shame. Ayusa placed a hand on the young man's shoulder. Then perhaps, he said, the real journey has finally begun. They sat in silence for a while, the wind playing with the leaves. At last, Ayusa spoke. Do you know what a wise person learns after falling? To never climb again? Viro guessed. Ayusa shook his head. To climb without pride. Years later, Viro became a great teacher in his own right. His fame spread far beyond the kingdom, but he no longer sought applause. Instead, he taught with the quiet strength of someone who had been broken and rebuilt by truth. When asked who his greatest teacher was, he would smile and say, defeat. And those who heard him speak often felt not the sharpness of pride, but the warmth of presence. Because wisdom, as he had learned, is not in the voice that speaks loudest, but in the one that listens deepest. If this story moved you, consider subscribing to our channel Stay Inspired 86 for more timeless Buddhist tales that uplift, challenge, and enlighten. Your support helps us continue bringing these ancient teachings to life. Let's grow wiser together, one story at a time.